What's going on, you guys? Shooting this quick video mainly for the Winner Circle group inside of our Unit of Prosperity group. We are connected to the leading source of education inside of Imarketslive, and we, as a group, we not only just focus on sharing the education and spreading the knowledge and teaching people the power of taking back control of their own investments by learning how to trade on the foreign exchange market and how to invest in the cryptocurrencies. Not only do we share the information, but we actually learn as a group. We dive into the education as a group. We focus on trading and building our skill set, which is a seven-figure skill set. So during the process of learning, a lot of our members are new, just like I was brand new when I first got started, and I learned through the Unit of Prosperity that I've developed our Winner Circle team to follow the same patterns that we were utilizing in the Unit of Prosperity. So new members are coming in, but we are providing more tools, more training, more one-on-one sessions, private sessions with our group, and we now have signal sources in addition to the Unit of Prosperity signal sources, and in addition to all of the automated tools, trainings, and education inside of Imarketslive. So whenever we receive a signal from our signal sources that we have that are only exclusive for the Winner Circle group, we just don't send them out so you can copy and paste. Even though copying and pasting will give you great results, it's not guaranteed that every trade is going to fall into profit. But on a consistent basis, on a weekly to monthly basis, we are making more money than we're losing as long as we stay consistent utilizing the tools and the resources that we have. So not just to copy and paste the signals, but we want our team to learn the process of reading the charts. That way they can see it for themselves. They can utilize their own analysis to make their own confirmations. That way they can get more confident in their trading journey and in their portfolio. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over a pair, received a couple of confirmations and a couple of signal sources that were saying that the USD JPY is in a setup. It is going through a trade setup and it has a major potential to fall. So usually when I get a confirmation or if I get a signal, I'll look at it on my own to see if I can see what they're talking about, so I can see the same things. That way I can build my own mindset, I can build my own skill set, and I will be able to take trades on my own without utilizing a swipe trade or without utilizing the harmonic scanner or the web analyzer, things that are already embedded inside of Imarketslive. So now that they say that the USD JPY is going to fall, what we're going to do together, we're going to mark it up. This is my personal analysis. So if you're part of the group, if you're watching this video, I encourage you to do the exact same thing that I am about to do and see if you can see what I see, or see if you can see what the signal source is seeing, because they say that it has a major potential to fall within these next few hours and the next couple of days. So I want you to do the exact same thing. Now, this is if you're a Winner Circle group. Even if you're not in a Winner Circle group, if you're watching this video, you can do the same thing, especially if you have little to no experience of reading the charts. The more you draw up your charts, the more you backtest, the better you become. So the first thing that I usually do is I find support and resistance zones on the USD JPY. That way I know where price has a potential of going. Just from experience and learning from some of the experts that's in the group, when in the foreign exchange market, the price and value of each pair has certain zones that it's comfortable with. So there's a lot of times if you backtest and you look further to the left, because they say in order to know what's going to happen on the right and into the future, you have to look to the left to see what happened at that same price zone to the left. So right now we're at this price zone as we speak. We're on a weekly time frame. So what I usually do, I do start with the weekly because you give a whole outlook. This is the whole outlook of USD JPY since it started trading on the market back in 2002 or 2001, somewhere in that area. So what I usually do is I find the highs and the lows in certain zones that are repeated during the process of this pair moving from year to year. Well, this is a weekly chart, so I will draw a weekly support and resistance zone. Now this is the very bottom. This is the lowest that it ever got. So I will put a line here. Oops, not that one. I will just put a regular horizontal line, and I'm using TradingView because TradingView is a free platform where you can draw up your charts. You can save your chart analysis and your strategies and go back to them at a later date to see how effective your strategy was. So I'll go ahead and put a line here. This is the very low, so I know at the lowest point, if it was the fall, this is the lowest that it can go because at one point in time it was at this area. And I'll do the same thing for a high. I believe somewhere around in this area is the high. Let's bring it down just a little bit right there. Now the exact price won't be the exact line. This will be more so a zone of where price can go, because as you can see, it didn't quite reach this line there, but here it reached and it kind of pushed over just a little bit. So this is in the zone of the high of the USD JPY. And what I usually do is I try to find a price that is being repeated somewhere in the middle. And if you can look just by judging off of the chart, you can see here, here, all in this area, price tend to come back. It gets comfortable in this area. So I'm gonna go ahead and put another horizontal line and kind of play with it just to see what's a great spot to put it at. And I believe here is a pretty good spot because as you can see, it used it as support. The support is the floor. Your resistance is your ceiling. So it came down, used it at this price as a support, it bounced up. Came down, it went through a little bit, but it still used it as support. It didn't quite go through, it bounced back up. And then eventually it tried to push again, and it did, and it broke through. But when it came back up, what did it do? It came back up to the same price that it was at previous, and it could not bust through, so it ended up going back down. And then the same thing, it came back up, it broke through a little bit, came back down, came back up, touched, came back down, came back up. It couldn't push through because this is a comfortable zone, so it got comfortable and it consolidated right on top of the zone, and then it pushed up, came up to the ceiling, back down to the floor. So you utilize your support and your resistance as zones. That way you know if it's in a certain zone, you know the low that it can potentially go to and the high that it can potentially go to. And if you see where we are right now in the market, we are neither at the low or the high. So to try to make a prediction to see or to say, well, it's going to come back down or, well, it's going to go back up. Right now on a weekly chart, we don't really have a big indication of telling us which way the chart is going to go. So what I will do is I will go down to a lower time frame. This is the weekly. Now I'm going to go down to the daily. No, before I do that, I want to draw a trend line because I can see a trend on the weekly chart. And the trend line usually gives you a confirmation and gives you a setup. That way you can know when to get in on a reversal. So I'm going to go ahead and put a trend line from this bottom, and I'm going to connect it to those bottoms all the way up. Oops. So that we know if it was to fall, because trend lines act as if it is support and resistance just on a trend. And when we go down to the lower time frames, you'll be able to see it more. But a trend line bounces off just like a support and resistance. So it came up, got consolidated right here at the zone. It came up to the very high. It came down. Now, if you notice, when it came down, it broke this original middle floor, which is the support. But what it didn't do, it didn't break the trend line. So the trend line is the same thing as your support and your resistance line. The price uses it as uh, a point of turning in direction or a reversal. So in this case, it started here. I used my trend line as this point of key here because this is my low when the reversal started to change. At first it was coming down and then it changed and started going up. So I use this first low as my first point and I draw it through all of the other points and connect the trend line. And now we're going to use this as a key point on the weekly chart on when this pair can fall. And if it breaks this trend line, say for instance it may hit this trend line and come back, hit this trend line, come back up to the top. That is very that is a potential buy in this case if we was to look at it. But if it was to break this trend line, the next zone that is going to hit is of course your middle support zone. So what I do now that I have my trend lines and I have my high, my middle, and my low, I will go to a lower time frame and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to the daily time frame. Now in our daily time frame, you want to change the color of all your lines. That way you know what line is what. So now on the daily, I'm not going to go as far back as I did on the weekly. I'm going to just utilize, of course you have to go back to the left. You have to look what's on the left. But I'm going to look to maybe a couple of months. This is right now we're in December. So I'm going to probably just use this zone all up in this area right here for the current price of where it's at. And just judging off of my plain eyesight, I already see where some of the support and resistance zones are at. As you can notice right here, we have one point where it came down, changed direction, tried to come back down to the point, change direction. Again, same point, change direction. So we can utilize that line as a support and resistance zone. I'm going to change the color to red. And also at the top, you have here it bounced, came down, bounced, came down, bounced, came down, bounced, came down. So you can utilize that as another ceiling within the hour chart. And then we have another ceiling here that I'm going to add on the daily chart. And if you notice, it used it as a ceiling here, but it used it as a floor, consolidated right on top of it here. So we know these prices are pretty good price points. Now you can mark up more. I would mark up more, but I wouldn't do it on a daily. What I would do is I would utilize the 4-hour chart. Now what I do also see, just like we use the trend line for the bottom on the weekly, I'm going to create a trend line for the top on the daily so that it'll give me some sort of confirmation on when, if it breaks the trend line, then I know it's going to continue to go up. So what I do is I find the high, which is here. I draw your trend line to connect all of the highs, which is 1, 2, 3, all the way down to the other trend line. I'm going to change this color to red because we are on the daily. And what that basically does is it kind of boxes in the market. So you know if it does come up and it breaks your support here and it starts to come up, if it breaks this trend line, then you know the next point of zone is here. And then after that is here. But as of right now, we are looking for a sell because the confirmation that I received and what I've been seeing is saying that USD JPY is on the verge of a major drop. So what I will also do is, now that I have that, is I will go down to the 4-hour or the hour chart. And let's go down to the 4-hour to see exactly what's going on in the 4-hour chart. And I can already see, as you can notice now, we staying in the zone. We're in the zone right here. Up, bottom, top, bottom, top, bottom, top. As you can see, it kind of made a curve here, another curve here, another curve here. This third curve can be a head and shoulders. This is the head, this is one shoulder, this is the second shoulder. And if that's the case, if this shoulder forms, it can potentially drop all the way back down to where it originally started, which is a comfortability zone right here. And as you can see, it was comfortable again here. So what now I would do is I would draw a trend line on the 4-hour chart,